don't really have slasher icons that aren't remakes right now. What are we going on Scream 7? I don't know.
I'm Russ Melham from the Direct. Thank you guys both for being here today to talk about the movie.
It's great to
Right
be
on.
here, Russ.
Nice to see you, Russ.
Nice to see you as well, Kevin. And nice to meet you, Eli. I saw the movie and I absolutely loved it. And I was a big fan of the book going in. So great job for everyone involved.
Thank you. I mean, I'm glad you read the book also and love the movie. So that's always really important.
Yeah. Now, you see, my first thought is, it's easy to see why a problematic clown is still relevant in today's society. But I want to talk about the deeper themes in play, mostly kind of regarding the generational divide that tends to always exist between generations. So, kind of for you both, how would you say that this movie utilizes the horror genre to tell a fun, satisfying, yet still meaningful story that addresses those very topics?
I mean, there is such a divide within our culture between the generations, and especially like Gen Z. I'm Gen X, and I think my sort of old folks in this movie are Gen X, but anybody Gen X and above, it kind of refers, even baby boomers. And there's this feeling I think toward Gen Z. It's like, oh, you kids are never paying attention. You're always on your phone. We're like always ripping on like how is this generation going to function in real life? They're always catered to. Everything's easy for them. If they want a question answered, they search it up. And there's so much kind of disregard pushed down toward them. And then the reverse of that is them up toward the older generation kind of thumbing their nose and like you're actually just really not listening to us about anything we're saying. And we're more intelligent than you give us credit for. We're plugged into what's happening in the world. And we're sophisticated. Like we understand so much more than you give us credit for. So the movie's about like really ultimately like what happens when people aren't listening to each other, when the adults are just not listening to the younger kids in this movie at all, and vice versa. And it creates this great sort of cataclysm of conflict that erupts, of course, in bloodshed. But yeah, there's a lot to work with just in social satire there.
Yeah. Kevin, I don't know if you had anything to add to that.
How do you add to that? I mean,
Yeah.
what a wonderfully fleshed out answer. Yeah, I add, I concur.
That's
Yes.
what, I was going to pivot to you next, anyways, and just like you play the mayor who has plenty of issues with the younger generation, including his own son. Can you help paint a picture about how he personally feels about, those members of society and how he kind of feels they're, in a sense, they're a downgrade to his own?
Well, I mean, it's just any there's any cultural divide. Even there's a divide between my wife and I. There's only like 10 years between us, and there's always some kind of um, movies and music things that she doesn't. Uh, when I say, "Hey, you remember Eric B and Rakim," and she's like, she has no idea. So like when I heard Eric B and Rakim at the beginning of the movie, when Aaron's like rapping to it, and she goes, "You understand that there's like the '80s to me is like the '40s to you." I just thought that was so brilliant. Um, um, yeah, I mean, for him, I mean, I got to strap on those. Basically that amazing velour suit and kind of play into being that part of the voice of that older kind of generation. Whereas I feel like because I am an actor and I'm always in a state of play, I don't really feel like I suffer from those insane disconnects. So it was kind of fun to get to lean in and be a part of that side of the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, Eli, can you talk a little bit about just, adapting the book to the screen? What elements did you feel kind of needed to be changed or adjusted to fit this new medium?
Well, I mean, some of these are spoilers. I think the thing that attracted me to the book in the first place are these like major shifts that happen within it that kind of reset the story. So I won't totally go into those, but I will say that if you haven't seen it yet, you have to see it.
Yeah.
will say that I just wanted to be true to the theme of the story. I thought Adam had created this unbelievable villain of Frendo that I thought, man, if I could design this mask right, and if I can lean in and make Frendo kind of the icon that I had growing up. We don't really have slasher icons that aren't remakes right now. What are we going on Scream 7? I don't know. But everything's a remake. And so I just was looking at these old slasher horror movies like I mean, Jason was so disturbing to me because that mask in all its simplicity is just probably the best mask that's ever been made. Um, but yeah, I wanted to bring some of that in and yet tell a slasher movie in like a 2025 way with Gen Z going through it and have it not be a sequel.
Yeah.
But do so and honor the book at the same time because I think Adam Caesar just wrote a rip roaring actiony fun book with like real characters that you could see existing in the world today.
For both of you guys, what? There's more than meets the eye, obviously, to the threat of Frendo. But can you guys just briefly talk about how does Frendo kind of hold a unique place amongst the pantheon of other horror clowns? Because people are always quick to be like, "Oh, there's Arch, there's
Yeah,
Pennywise. Now we have Frendo." So how does he compare to those?
he's better.
Yeah, I think he. I mean, he's got a very specific mission, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And like any kind of really great um, villain in stories in the world, he fully 100% believes in everything he's doing.
Yeah.
Um, so as much as you might be like, oh my God, he's the big scary guy, it's like, well, he really thinks what he's doing is right. He's trying to make the world a better place in his own way, and that probably makes it that much scarier.
Yeah, I will say that Frendo is also like he's your grounded sort of he's your working class slasher killer. He's he has a human fallible quality to him that makes him both. He's very menacing, as humans can be incredibly menacing, but incredibly flawed as well. Um, and so there's something about that that kind of rides that. Yes, he's a menacing killer line, but also there's something entertaining about him as well. Uh, that's what I was going for.
I have to ask real quick, unrelated to this movie. What is the latest update on Tucker and Dale versus Evil 2? People are still dying for that one. I know we just talked about everything's a sequel and all that, but people are still really excited for that.
Well,
So, is there any update?
I mean, look, to have been through this experience and in these interviews, and now that I'm reemerging from my cocoon with a new movie, it's pretty thrilling for me to really, I think, in this press tour, realize that Tucker and Dale has become the movie I always wanted it to be. And it's taken a long time for it to reach, at least in my heart, fully that like the status of like cult uh, horror comedy, classic that I thought it would be when I made it. It didn't come out of the box office like with smashing box office records. So initially, it was just like we were trying to sell this thing to different people and make the sequel. We almost got it made a bunch of times. And I like to say that Tucker and Dale 2 has died more deaths than like college kids in Tucker and Dale. It keeps like just when you think like, oh, this one's gonna make it. No, it landed in the wood chipper. It's done.
Huh.
And so it's a little inside baseball with show business, but it has been slayed a bunch of times. And I will say that it stays in my heart. I don't want to set up any fans. They've been set up before. I remember Alan Tudyk's like, "We're making the sequel," and everybody's like, "Yeah!" And then that sequel died. So I don't want to set anybody up, but someday I always have it in my heart that I would love to like see what those guys are doing, and I have always lots of ideas about what they would be doing.
Well, I could talk to you guys more and more about this movie, but my time is up. But thank you guys both for talking to me about this film. I look forward to hopefully, there's at least two more books, so hopefully we get some more with Frendo, and you guys are both in it and ready to
Yeah.
go.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you,
Awesome.
Russ.
Thanks,
Thank you
Russ.
both. Until next time.
Till next time.
Man.